Punters does have different meanings and
depending on the sport.
Things. Yeah. Because isn't a punter just like someone that just a regular person?
A
it
punter?
Can mean that. The punters are saying that this is this.
Mate, like a pundit?
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe my brain doesn't work. Let's see. We'll put it to the test. Because now it's time for the draft here for game number 2.
Yeah, let's just drop that and move
Poppy.
On. Yeah.
So I nailed that. Pronunciation on point, or at least in Australian.
Let's see what the game plan is going to be here now for DNF on blue side, because it's going to be a completely different draft. Obviously, you're not going to be looking for that 1-2 R1, R2 combo type picks like we saw in game 1. The Yunara is just going to be banned straight off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Get rid of that one.
As Annie will also be banned, so they're not looking for a Wukong first pick themselves, I don't think.
Unless, I mean, with Yunara and Annie now banned, the Wukong stocks do go down, but I still think that it's probably worth the ban.
Yeah.
As Pantheon and Wukong are probably the 2 picks that are highest priority at this point in time, the DRX probably will need to consider removing.
It's interesting how, like, banning Vi feels strong and yet also kind of a waste against Pioshik, who has so many champions he'll play in this meta. As the Aurora is gone, so the Gwen ban makes sense.
Yep.
That's one I didn't really have in the forefront of my mind, but is incredibly strong. Aduda's been a very good Gwen player, so that's not a shock in hindsight.
Ooh, Pioshik should be able to get the monkey, though, because I think that Pantheon is going to be the higher priority pick.
Agree.
And Azir is going to be taken away.
They could... there's a few picks,
yeah, you can
like
trade.
Talia, Varus, I mean, are all out there with the Pantheon, so... Pioshik already had one phenomenal Pantheon game. He's one of the only players that's been allowed to play it.
Yep. And Canyon's played it 3 times. Isn't that just... it's illegal, isn't it?
I cannot even... It's the Legend Group teams are just like, no, I think I can handle this.
Well, they have to handle something, I guess, when it comes to Gen G, so it's a little bit of a different story, perhaps, down here.
I'd say ban Pantheon. I think it's the safest call. They ban the Varus instead.
I think they're happy to trade.
So maybe you go Talia to weaken the Pantheon. If they pick anything that's not Pantheon or Talia here, and DRX get Pantheon and Talia, CV Max is like clapping, and and I think DRX are running away with this series.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think that it should be Pantheon first pick, and then Talia Wukong needs to come in next. Unless you just give up the Wukong pick and pick something higher priority elsewhere.
We've criticized a lot of his Weaver's Walls, but I kind of like the Talia first pick angle here. I think it's been one of his better picks. Again, you set up the kind of simplicity that DNF need, like shove somebody, you got a single target, you kill them, you 5v4. As it looks like maybe Ryze Wukong is going to be the response.
I mean, it has to be Pantheon something.
I'm just kidding. It's not going to be that. I meant to say Ryze Xin Zhao, because that's like the game 2 thing.
Oh, God.
That we do every time, but not available, of course. Pantheon. And is the question, what do we get with this? Just the Ryze. Okay. So keeping it very simple. No new picks. No new patch. No new meta. And Wukong will follow.
Yeah, this is very powerful, though, for the DN Freecs. And we've seen this combo be incredibly consistent. Not quite as consistent as the Annie Wukong combination, but often the Talia is just banned away, so you don't even get to play it. So now the DN Freecs really want Rakan as the Scion. This is kind of cute because, of course, this did get a little bit of a buff. Obviously, Orcs explained it in the pre-show, has been aimed a little bit more to damage Scion, but any buffs are good.
I mean, yeah, anything he's going to get in the lane is going to work out in the... Or anything he's going to get in those buffs will help him in the lane as well. Cho'Gath will be fun. I do like the Ambessa more because when you see the Scion, you're like, okay, they're looking for a scaling AD carry pick. We need some more engage to get on top of that. They already have the Pantheon, but when you have Pantheon who can point-click stun and then allow the Ambessa to follow up easily because she can't miss on a stationary target, it's just so easy. I actually think this is a great call. Not as good into the Scion, but also a good matchup anyways.
I would agree. I also think that it pairs alongside the Ryze pretty well as well. You know, like you can then layer the Rune Prison on top. That chain CC is so incredibly scary to deal with, as there is a Karma ban. To, I think, go along with what you were saying, of course, Karma Sivir could be one of those options that they are looking for. Teddy would like to pick the Sivir up himself. But I do think Rakan stocks are pretty high as well. We'll see whether that gets a look.
Xayah a little bit less valuable. I think it works well for DN's comp, but you don't necessarily need a safe pick into either of these drafts because you shouldn't be being caught by, as the AD carry, any of these CCs, you know, except maybe the Ambessa ultimate. Like, if Pantheon gets on top of you, it's a whole other issue, but Rakan will be banned, which is smart.
Yep.
We'll see if I mean, there's a few different things you could play here that follow up really well. I think the Ezreal is fine. Kai'Sa could work here for DRX, but blind is kind of scary.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the Kai'Sa pick in this 4th spot. It's a tough ban, to be honest, here for DNF because there's so many open-ended options. You have to really know what you're planning on doing before you can make a strong ban here, and we don't know what their plan is either. So to wait and see. The Sivir is strong for both sides. Yep. I think Freecs really wanted it, but they know that it's one of the best options available, so they take it away from Teddy instead first.
Let's see what DRX are going to do here. Likely an 80 carry pick. Something like a Corki could be fine.
Yeah, Corki's actually a really good shout. I think really good on both sides, but especially here for DRX because it follows up well. It's safe into the Wukong. I don't think you want to go Senna here. It's just way too greedy. I don't think that something like that is what we're thinking of, but we're apparently a bit of an issue.
Yep, draft is... I'm not sure whether it's ongoing. We did see if you had a peek at the monitor that the players were still in the draft as they are out of it now. So we are going to have to redo this one. Not entirely sure what happened there.
We don't know when the issue occurred, so...
It didn't look like there was any kerfuffles.
No.
Like, you can explain all the things that happened.
Maybe in that R4 spot, like, whoever was locking just couldn't, like, lock the champion in, so just needed to be remade or something. Who knows, but...
Yep. Andal seems to be having a pretty good time about it, though, as we can see. Good to see some giggles, as we know that Andal has certainly struggled with confidence in the past.
100% that is the case. I also kind of thought we'd see Quantum, by the way, in Game 2, just because that's kind of how DNF have been rolling. Not for any reason per se, but they just kind of play both players most series.
Yep. I thought that as soon as Life was starting, it was probably going to be him to stay in just because he has been coming in after Quantum, and I was like, well, Quantum's not here. The super sub is not going to be necessary as Life just doing that immediately. I think it makes sense as well. I think that Life has been an improvement over the last couple of weeks, and you saw it with the fact that they were able to win their last matchup. So impressive stuff here from DNF. A little bit unfortunate, that the headbutt towards the end of the last game wasn't exactly optimal, but I think that Pureshit getting caught out of position was probably the biggest issue.
And even before that, like, I don't want to harp on it too much, but the missed opportunity to look for a Baron turn, like that kind of stuff. So if you're just tuning in, you're wondering what is happening, we had an issue with the draft. We are remaking
the Sivir ban is not actually real. That was an attempted Bard ban, and that unfortunately did not actually work out. So I think that they just ran out of time or something like that.
Yeah, so
it was something that was reported and it was okay.
I think we talked about this earlier in the year, but there actually was a rule change to where if you report instantly that you intend to click something within the allotted time, but you're unable to do it, then you don't get penalized for it, which I think is a great change because...
I wish that happened in solo queue games as well, where it's like, it's ticking right down. You eventually decide, I really want to play Tryndamere, and you just can't type.
You know what happens to me, which has caused me to dodge once or twice by mistake, is I'm thinking really hard and then suddenly I decide and I go to type it in. My client's in English right now.
Yep.
And I have my keyboard input in Hangul because I was typing in Snapchat, and I try to type it, it just doesn't appear because I'm typing in Hangul, then like it turns into like you can't click anything and then you're just doomed.
Yep.
That has happened to me more than once.
And so now we're going Pantheon Rise, Wukong, Sion, and Ambessa. They are going to be the lock-ins here as we just quickly speed run through the draft.
So it was an issue with the client that made him unable to click Bard ban.
Yeah, so it was last minute, so something sort of like messed up a little bit there. And
that's why you report your issues instantly.
Exactly.
Make sure these things get solved. Good call from whoever was doing that ban. I don't know who was in charge of that.
It was Life, I believe.
Probably, yeah. So this time we'll have a Bard ban, which means Sivir is up for DRX, which gives them a lot of wave clear. They have double global. I think DRX will snap that Sivir up, to be honest with you, Atlas, now that it's available.
I could imagine that would be an idea. So the Bard going to be the one that's taken away.
Yeah, I think I might have misspoken and said Braum earlier, but I meant to say Bard if I did.
It's okay. Braum is also banned.
Yeah, he's fearless banned. So Sivir, I mean, look, Teddy, it's a pick that for him is iconic. It scales well, and when you have mid-prio constantly with the Sivir, it makes it harder to pick with Wukong, with Taliyah, and you have Ryze and Pantheon are going to use that prio incredibly well. It feels like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, are we sure he didn't accidentally mean to ban Super? Like, thinking about this more.
Yeah, maybe we should go back. Maybe we should report it again and say, actually, no, it was correct. Is the Kai'Sa going to come on through? Looks like Rel will be paired alongside it. See what Andal is going to pick into it. Poppy is banned, so that one is not as much of a worry.
I really think no matter what comes through here, the draft diff is huge. I think DRX really ended up with a phenomenal draft here, and it looks like they're going to settle on the Leona ultimately. We're giving some consideration to a Blitzcrank there, which is pretty decent in this draft with how much damage you have. Even if you catch a Scion with that hook, you're probably not going to feel too bad about it.
Yep.
The Leona is going to be a little bit more stable and a little bit more able to deal with the Rel engages in lane. But man, I don't like this lane for Life and Berserker, and it's a really similar draft to Game 1 where DNF have so much agency, right? They have the pick potential, they have the Wukong engage, they have Rel, like they have all the combos, they have all the circles. But you look at DRX, and not only this time do they have a really strong scaling AD carry, and Teddy will be able to position against us and has Spell Shield, but then they can utilize his prio to play through double globals. I feel like this time DRX have agency, which they didn't necessarily have that much in Game 1, plus the same sort of scaling aspects and easy defensive setups. Like, they can turn so easily, whereas for the side of DNF, you can kind of only go in. There isn't a whole lot of turn unless you have prio, which we saw they struggled a lot with in Game 1. But it's Ryze group. Anything can happen. I don't want to go too deep into this draft, but for me, I really prefer what DRX put together.
I like no freaks at the end. Especially with the double F. I really do think that that adds emphasis where it is necessary.
Yeah.
They are still a little bit freaks, though. You know, as it's not the Afrika Freaks anymore. It's not the Kwangdong Freaks anymore. It is the DN Freaks now. So it is still Freaks. So
yeah, not the DN Automotive Freaks, Dagon.
I mean, it is.
Just DN Freaks.
It is that as well, but it's also still Freaks. That's the thing that is still definitely there. That's where I'm confused about that fan sign. But now it is time for game number 2. Let's get on the riff.
출판사의 학교에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for game number 2. And I tell you what, that Pantheon skin is very, very cool. I recently bought Hades 2. Actually, just started playing it last night.
I really have. It's embarrassing that I haven't played any Hades in my life, and I've kind of been waiting for the right moment to play it. But
this was my very first time, and I went in entirely blind. I don't normally do that. I am an avid game researcher.
He is. He does.
I am the YouTube video guy. I will just absorb as much information as possible. But yeah, just started playing last night, and that skin looks like it could actually be in that game, you know, because it's very sort of mythology-based and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's a little bit of an aside. We have Mega Man Monkey once again here for Pureshik as well. So as far as the skin check-in is concerned, a little bit sad that it's not Pax Siva, but we do see that kind of every time. So Teddy just mixing it up a little bit this time around.
Yeah, I'm happy to see something different at this point. I mean, Pax Siva is still the best, like, don't get me wrong, but it's cool to see something different. Sometimes I just go base skin because I'm like, yeah, we never, you know, people don't go base skin.
It's true, and she did get that like mini rework like a few years ago, and so the base skin isn't quite as like pizza feet as it used to be.
True.
Of course, shout out to Tarek, the OG best pizza feet guy.
Yeah.
As Dudu doing a great job here in this early game. This is often how this one goes. Scion early on is just able to utilize those base damages quite nicely. And the shielding is going to be helping out there as DRX with control of this bottom lane. As you mentioned earlier on, this should be something that will be a trend.
Yeah, I don't think you... Like Kai'Sa in most lane matchups in this meta, it's her power later on and how easily she can follow up on engages and her team fighting. That is where her main power is. Obviously, you could draft for a lane where she can have prio as man.
That was a very...
Yeah, Rich is like, oof.
Yeah. I can understand the emote, because that was that's just not to be expected.
He got robbed.
He really did. And so that does mean that Dudu is going to continue on his rampage, his onslaught here towards his top side, as Aurora the Slayer gets the combo there with the Q.
It's a pretty good matchup for the Aurora, or sorry, not the Aurora, Ambessa. Once she gets all of her buttons, which Rich now has.
Yep.
And that will make things a little bit easier, as we're already seeing the lane swap to ensue here. which is not surprising, given that you're laning into Sivir.
And also, Sion is pretty good at sort of absorbing pressure as well in a lane swap scenario, so you can understand why you kind of want to mismatch the lanes as much as you can.
I've thought about it a little bit in the draft, and I wasn't ready to give a conclusion on it at the time. Going back to that Sivir misban into ultimately making it a Bard ban, I was wondering, like, you know, we've seen Jarvan be such a great response to the Sivir, and I was wondering, like, is there a reason why DNF might specifically want Teddy to play Sivir, because it's such an obvious Sivir angle? And I guess the Wukong is super good into the spell shield. You have so much engage. Just hold that thought. Rich?
Yeah, he's going to have to use some of these dashes to try and get himself out of the way. There's the flash. Void Seeker will be avoided, but man, yeah, Rich now down a flash. Really well played here by DNF, only using the heal. So they are still very scary there towards that top side.
Feeling really good about that. Rich does survive, though, with nice dodges.
Yeah.
Uh-oh!
Yeah, over the wall they go. Seismic Shove does come on in, but Andil's making his way over as well. Pioshik able to get himself out with that Warrior Trickster. DRX standing firm.
Yeah, so back to, was a little bit of shenaniganry for a moment there, but
quite a lot of it as well.
back to the Sivir conversation. Maybe not yet. Maybe not yet.
Ooh, okay, are going to get on top of Berserker here as the Boomerang Blade does a lot of work. Do manage to get him down to about 400 health here and take the cleanse away as DRX retain control in this 2v2.
Yeah, that's a pretty big win now here in return, as TPs will be exchanged in the mid lane.
One thing that is pretty satisfying about Leona Sivir specifically is the fact that you just Zenith Blade the wave and then you proc all of the sunlight with your boomerangs. Feels very, very nice. As, yeah, Wukong is pretty good here in the Rise group.
Yeah, not great in the early game, though, unfortunately for him in this situation, whereas Pantheon is incredible. And Life is isolated. They are going to clear this wave, and they may try to, with this stacked up wave, look for a kill. Yehu's also here.
Berserker can't get any of these minions.
Yeah, Bulldog is engaged.
Yeah, over they go. Teddy going to flash out of the way of the Seismic Shove, and Bulldog doesn't have a brush to run to. That's first blood going over to Andil, as Pioshik just a little late to this party.
And they did it without even Realm Warp. Yehu just came over here, and Life's like, well, I guess I got some of the XP, maybe a CS or two. I don't even know how much of that he got. Berserker will finally get the last four of these, but so much was denied. He's down about 13 CS right now, and that was just a really well-coordinated dive.
Andil actually going to be the one blocking here just to make sure that the Pantheon can go back and get about his jungle once again. But like the amount of gold that DRX just accrued for themselves and denied from DNF is massive.
Yeah,
1,000 gold the lead just off the back of that play.
And it looks like initially they're going to look for a dive onto the Rel, but they just turn onto Bulldog here. Berserker's level 3, and Pioshik can do nothing, right? He's a Wukong at level 4, doesn't have his Cyclone. If he has Cyclone, he could stop this entire play and completely turn it around, but otherwise, the Pantheon way more valuable. The Rise that comes over, so potent in this type of situation. And this is really scary now for DNF, put behind this early. You can see Teddy, you know, he had a massive lead. It's now shored up here by Berserker with the back timing. Teddy has a Cole as well. They both are going to cash that in. But so much denied there. So much tempo was gained.
Yeah, and this wave is now going to get caught by DRX, so they should be able to move back to a decent gold advantage. Bulldog here in this mid lane, just dealing with the fact that the Rise is now a little bit more powerful. The kill did go over to Andil, so it's not end of the world here for DNF.
If you can get this type of lead in the lane and then make sure the lane swap is handled properly, it's just so obvious what you can see on the map how valuable this is, right? Like they swap again and they just keep pulling this Kai'Sa around the map, and super frustrating to deal with. You can see Andil going to roam around the mid lane here with a little prior they have there as well.
Yep.
And the Scion does get to ult back to the top lane. That really helps things out here for Dudu. He actually probably gets a Demolish proc here on the top side, so that will certainly help as Andil's looking for the engage.
Yeah, and Sponge is already here. Bulldog absolutely nowhere to go. No flash, no chance. And Sponge very happy to tank up that turret. Dudu in between the turrets. And Rich is going to make it back to lane with about 50% health. That plate you were talking about does go over. And Dudu is just going to continue his shenaniganry underneath, in between the turrets on the top side.
Can't actually get in here to impact this bottom lane either because there's 2 wards, one in the tri-brush, one in the river, and in fact, Yehu may even look for a Realm Warp diver with all the prio he has. Look, Bulldog has to catch the wave, has no TP, and this is actually a really scary moment here for Life and Berserker. I don't know if they're aware. They may have seen Yehu if he just went into that pit on that control ward, but otherwise, I mean, that was a very scary situation there. Like, there's just so much tempo. And this is why, to me, I don't always trust these Kai'Sa picks in these situations because you just cannot get control back easily.
DNF are going to look to at least get some control around these Void Grubs, playing around the fact that Dudu is pretty far ahead of Rich at this moment in time, and so Pyoshik will at least be able to get one of these, and in fact, should be able to get all of them.
He really wants to pull this off. Like, Sponge doesn't have ult, but he doesn't care.
Well, they can deliver both of them underneath this turret. And so without the ult from Sponge, I guess he just uses the Realm Warp instead to be a very similar tool.
Yeah, make a Pantheon ult.
Exactly. Build your own.
Grand Warp Fall.
Haha.
They continue to threaten the idea of a Realm Warp, but then happy to take the Crashed Wave and the Dragon instead. We have somewhat late Drake in this game at 9 minutes to go over. And it's just going to be a back here for Yehu. DNF, I think they were teetering on danger there. Like, it looked pretty rough, but they've been able to, because DRX don't pull the trigger, they just kind of catch those waves down there. Berserker's able to get it back, and he'll swap back with Dudu, has TP, so he can go to the bottom lane. And we're just going to go back to a neutral game state here with DRX having that objective. DNF were able to get 3 grubs of their own, though, which is pretty good into this Ryze composition.
Yep. Certainly going to be feeling good about that. They don't necessarily have a whole lot of threat as far as side lane is concerned, but denying it is fantastic, like you're saying. So Berserker up here catching this wave towards the top side. Still just a 300 gold difference between the 80 carries. But Teddy is Sivir, so he's pretty happy to scale it on through until later in the game. In fact, he is the best player in the world at scaling Sivir damage into later in the game.
Yeah, no one has ever been able to do as well as he has.
Yep, that's very, very true.
He has seen the latest game.
He's the only Sivir player to have a 100% win rate past 80 minutes.
Yeah, no one else has ever come close, really.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff. Yeah, Bulldog catching this wave once again. And DRX just not really pushing this advantage too much at this point in time, but I think playing around the Grand Skyfall is probably what they want to be doing, is Yehu running pretty quickly, and so isn't going to be hit by stray shoves or anything like that. And honestly, this guy on the rise has been pretty impressive. I think the Galio game was pretty impressive as well. And so DRX leaning on their mid lane here, get some things done. We'll see whether he is going to be able to pop off in this mid game as well, as we do crest the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, Bulldog has been phenomenal at setting up picks on this. Is he going to threaten one?
Yeah, there is a Grand Starfall, but I don't know whether they really wanted to be there for that one. As flashing over, Bulldog able to get himself out of the way. The heal to keep Sponge alive, though, as they find the stun onto Life, and he flashes his way out as well. The Cyclone really helping play defense there, but lots of buttons now on cooldown.
It looked like a bait almost with how they played that out, and they almost were able to get the bait there to succeed as they kind of defensively look for a turn, but don't end up finding the success there and survive, but don't get anything back for it. As like you said, a lot of ultimates are put on cooldown, so tougher to fight. There's nothing to fight for, though, so I guess it won't matter in the short term.
Yep, not too much. As 3.5 minutes until the Rift Herald and 2.5 on this second Dragon.
We're kind of set up for a little bit of a boring...
bit of a brawl and brew type situation.
Just because of the way these comps interact with each other and the lack of objective. So Bulldog here ends up getting rooted. They bait the Pantheon ult in. Life is ready to instantly engage, but there's not enough damage here, unfortunately. The Cyclone helps them get out of dodge as Yehu, but he has some damage in this longer skirmish, and they will have to respect it. So Flash also put on cooldown there for the Relt. Life not going to be happy about that. It's going to hurt his upcoming engages when he does have his ultimate back. I'm talking about ultra temporary, but that Flash, a little bit more permanent here.
Yep. Possible angle here they could potentially go towards. So Bulldog and Life missing those, and also investing his alongside Sponge. So Yehu having his flash still available, though, going to be a big deal. He has the largest gold lead in the game, but definitely on DRX's side, as this Scion is still very, very frightening. Currently 20 CS up. Yehu does finish that Rod of Ages, though. So this Rise, as this game goes later and later, is going to be problematic, to say the least.
I'm curious to see if Berserker and DNF can make me a Kai'Sa believer in this game. I'm not trying to deny Kai'Sa's strengths, but they sacrificed so much for this pick, and now behind, will it actually be able to do anything? I mean, they have engaged for days.
Yeah.
They absolutely do, but it is going to be tough into double global. They're always going to be ahead of the curve on you for setting up for objectives or even flanking with those globals. And the Sivir wave clear that as Kai'Sa, you can clear okay, but you'll never match the Sivir wave clear that she has with the Ricochet, which is just, I mean, I'm kind of tired of giving it's like the new Wolf color point. I'm like, oh, that Sivir man, she pushes in, look at Berserker, catch it. But you just always get these free backs. You always get first access to the Dragon. And in this meta where turns on objectives are so powerful with picks like Wukong, Taliyah, Rel, if you have to be the one engaging, you're always at a disadvantage. And Sivir's just like, it's you, by the way. I'm waiting. I'm already here. The ball's in my court. Come at me.
And it is kind of working out so far. You can see the Cull Cash-in came through for Teddy first, but Berserker was immediately after him. So you can see that's still just 300 gold between the two AD carries. And it's so interesting, right? Because, like, I feel like between different regions, the view on Kai'Sa is different. For us, we're a bit about the champion, where she can be pretty hit or miss. I think there are a lot of our players that are, the comparison. Okay, never mind. Got a few ults being traded here, and by a few, I mean one.
I don't know if Rich really liked how that one went.
Yeah, it didn't quite. But to go back to the point, it feels like overseas, Kai'Sa is a lot more formidable. We do talk about the... Oh, never mind. I just can't make these points as the Magna Storm does come on through. Sponge going down so low. Andal as well doesn't have the Eclipse anymore. It's Teddy limping out of this fight as Yahoo getting chased down here by Berserker and Life, but hits all the Qs. So Berserker going down a little bit lower. Still, it's a good pickoff.
I mean, Teddy here gets caught, barely survives with a barrier there. Berserker finds a really nice angle there. Kind of like Kai'Sa into Ezreal-esque there.
Oh dear, just mown down by the stars.
Okay, well, that looked really good for a second, but he is then punished. Look at this player.
Yeah, he's like, yep, win some, you lose some, I guess.
Oh man, that's rough, but...
Oh, it's a Hextech soul as well. My goodness, this is scary.
It certainly is.
Nice little interrupt there as Rich having to flash. That's kind of crazy. He was feeling a little scared.
Having a bit of a roughie. With Dudo having ult available there, if he gets pinned down under turret, he's not going to be having a good time. So, like, when you are Kai'Sa in this situation, if you can actually, while this fight is going on, isolate Teddy in the backline and look for the 1v1 there, it's a rare circumstance, but if you get the kill here and then look for the turn with your teammates, like, the fight is incredible. It's still a win here. They get the Leona, but they could have gotten even more there. Teddy barely survives. It's the Pantheon, though, that follow up that trades this 1-for-1 as he has vision.
Yeah. And with a Snatcher out of the way, and that is going to be Feats of Warfare at the same time, as you saw confirmed on the screen. Still one Drake apiece, and so now this battle for the Hextech Soul, that's going to be an exciting one, because of course everyone on even footing getting towards that. Speaking of even footing, same amount of money in plates going over to both sides.
That's a pretty even game here. I think we're going to have to find some more of those types of setups for Berserker.
Yep.
For this game to go back into DNF's favor. The Hextech Soul, incredibly powerful for both sides. The ability to proc the slow is kind of insane, as DRX have better prio here on this objective.
Dudu making a rotation over, though. The Unstoppable Onslaught is going to be there as he moves into position.
Life flashes back up.
Yeah, Voidseeker is going to connect with the Rune Prison. Does hold Berserker in place. Still Andal going to be going down alongside Sponge, and DNF just close in on DRX and shut him down.
Yeah, they have so much engaged, and DRX just frankly did not respect it. Pioshik's going to pick up the eye. That's not only a secure of the objective, but 2 kills to boot.
Might also be this first turret going down as well, but the minions are just going to leave, and man, no one has pressed any buttons on this outer turret whatsoever, as Pioshik does ride Shelly towards it, but it only goes down to 50%.
A really, really decisive engage there with Life having his flashback up. And look at the setup here for DRX. It's a little bit shaky, right? Yahoo's trying to poke, trying to look for an angle here. Pioshik goes in first. The follow-up here from Life, and then boom, you just get 2 kills. That's the power of Wukong. And Teddy's safe. Well, they get 2 kills, and then in the early game, you can't do enough damage back to do anything with that Sivir here. So DNF finding some signs of life in this game. It's a 1-to-1 Drake score here. No double dragon. This game is far from over.
100%. Feels very similar to the last game, right? Where DNF were finding a lot of success here and there. DRX were able to win that last decisive fight, but Otherwise, it was an incredibly close game. This is looking to follow suit just a little bit. Maybe not having to worry about some soul situations. Going to be better. Of course, it was a 3-stack. It was the large reason why DRX were able to hold themselves in the game. That is just not going to be a thing this time around.
The observing team and Jonas Strong are not looking favorable on Rich's laning phase in this game. Every time Dudu just kind of trades with them and outdoes them, they're like, I didn't miss that, by the way. Watch this. Big Dudu fans today, as he is crushing the matchup. Has obviously a little bit of extra gold. He has the biggest gold lead in this game. You mentioned it earlier, but it is kind of ballooned. And so he is just constantly putting Rich down. And a matchup that Rich picked this into, like he was hoping to get those advantages early, it just did not eventuate. And DNF, I mean, they still have all the tools in this game to win decisive fights. I think holding on to Prio is going to be the most important part of this. We have just over 70 seconds until this next dragon. The first Hex Tech does spawn. They win that fight, get a lot of control out of that, the extra Drake value, and it feels playable here.
Yeah, certainly does. Dudu now completing that Holo Radiance. 2 items done for the Scion. He is so large. And this minion wave going to crash towards his top side. This turret is so incredibly low. That'd be feats of strength for DRX if they're able to actually take that one down. But it looks like Rich is not going to be getting over there in order to take this one out. And Dudu is going to prevent minions from ever getting there again.
Rich
unless he does have to go back.
He doesn't have TP just yet. It's almost there. And I think they're aware of it. Just want to continue to annoy him, deny that turret. And Sponge is actually rotating up here with Teddy. If DNF just get a free dragon here, this is kind of insane for them. I mean, it looks like that may just be what is going to happen here, as DRX are just not poised for the contest. They have 20 seconds to come over here and try to wrestle that Pry away, but that's one of the most powerful parts of DNF's comp, is being able to turn on a dime with this Wukong. They have Flash for him as well.
Well, Rich finding a 1v1 here into Dudu. Doing a decent job for now that the Eclipse has been completed, but still, Dudu has 2 items. Rich only has 1 and a bit. So it's not feeling fantastic here for the Ambessa. As DNF, yeah, they're standing on vision, but there's just not going to be a contest. DRX just electing to give this one up.
That's one of those moments where I feel like Coach Song and the crew watching backstage is probably going to be like, I don't know if this was the right call, because you had the Sivir control the mid lane for a moment. You had a lot of prio. You just gave it all up. You rotated topside, didn't get anything there, and just gave a dragon away. Didn't really get the cross map, didn't get any pressure on this bottom turret, so you just gave a freebie. And if you give over the prio, then obviously at that point you kind of have to give his life. So look for the gauge.
Storm will be connecting here onto Sponge, trying to get himself out of this one, but I don't think it's going to work, and it doesn't. Life is going to be able to burn him down. The Hex Gates were also bringing Pyoshik in, and this could just mean Otacon at the same time. This game is just falling out of the hands of DRX.
So quickly. And, I mean, they are going to try to get this mid turret, and they should be able to, but I don't know if it's 100% worth.
Yeah, it is going to be the unstoppable onslaught there just to deny Andel's engage. But
feats of strength.
Yeah, feats of strength do go over, but Otacon is picked up by DNF, and that is going to mean a whole lot more. They also answer the turret, as Rich is also able to take down this bottom outer as well, so that will at least keep the competition up as far as money is concerned in this game. But I think DRX are very confident that they can win late. That's the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think this initially looks really bad for DRX, right? Sponge being isolated here. They're looking for that top turret and Otacon, but because they make a swift call, you can see Teddy is already pinging. Like the second the CC is there, he's like, I'm getting mid turret. Rich is like, I'm getting bottom turret. That was a really quick macro reaction there. And so, yes, DNF has a lead in gold still slightly. And yes, they ended up getting the Otacon, which is quite valuable for this composition. DRX keeping the money even, and that is where they want to win this game, in the late game with this Sivir that's 2.5 items deep.
Yep, does need to build the Lord Doms this game. Going to be pretty important against this Scion, so going to be taking a little stopover for picking that one up. As Rich fighting against Dudu, it's a very long lane, no ulti up for the next 8 seconds at least, as Rich does need to respect this Q that's doing a fair bit of work. And look at this. I mean, I feel like Rich is trying so much harder than Dudu, but Dudu is still just winning. In comes Sponge, though, to try and make this an uneven fight, as Rich hasn't even used the ulti yet. There is no way that Dudu's getting out of this one, as the ult picks him up, and down goes the Scion. Rich finally getting some revenge from this horrific early game.
I have to ask, why are we flashing there also as Dudu? I mean, his teammates are rotating down kind of. Maybe they're making the call like, hold on, just hold them there for one more second. We'll come down and get the trap, because Berserker can engage from so far away. Life is coming as well, but ultimately just kind of flashes and then dies, doesn't get anything out of the side of DRX. They don't need to flash to kill him, so yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's Sion. I mean, he doesn't use the flash that well.
Yeah, that's true. Just needs to be able to get his ult off in the right stages in these fights. The wall is going to be set up. DRX do have Sponge moving up, but Life is going to turn up as well. Sponge a little bit late on this play. The teleport to come in and bring Rich towards the fight. The seismic shove is fantastic. Sponge trying to keep himself alive, but it's not going to work as Rich is just desperately trying to get back to his teammates as Teddy and Andal just a little late on that one. The teleport in brings Dudu over as well. 5 strong for DNF here towards his top side.
Rich has to get out of there, almost finds himself also caught. That was initially looked to me like it might be a Wadid Bulldog Weaver's Wall segment coming through, but instead it ends up being a really nice engage, and it's just these pinches on the top side that DNF have found on the side laners that have been so effective. I mean, look at this. It's not the most ideal wall setup, but they also have teleport here for Life on Unsealed, and this control ward allows him to get over here and catch Yehu before the rest of DRX can respond. Their teleport response for Rich ends up being a liability, doesn't help them out here, and just ends up being a bigger win as he then has to flash away. And DNF just making the more decisive call. Sure, this teleport here from Dudu is also wasted, but just wanted to guarantee they win that fight. And it's these types of plays over and over again that DNF keep finding. They keep getting these kills. That leads to bottom side control here that's going to allow them to clear some of that vision. Look for that fight here in 45 seconds with Pryo, where they can turn with that Wukong Rel, and that's been so good for them this game. Yeah, they've got the tempo vibes back, Atlas.
They certainly do. DRX do need to put in a lot of work trying to deny this Hextech Soul Point. It's going to be such a huge deal. And like you say, DNF with those tempo vibes, but with also just real vision control, they will be able to get themselves in a pretty good standing here. And we've just seen their team fighting has been better, right? Pioshik has been in the right position, feeling free to press that R button whenever he would like, lands that Cyclone, and then always has Life there to magnet them together immediately afterwards.
It's just a little bit disappointing that with this Sivir Rise Pantheon, it's DRX that aren't collapsing on sides, you know, that aren't able to find any angle. Sure, it's a Sion on one side, which is very difficult to kill, but Bulldog has otherwise been able to relatively farm it up, you know, and even be the engager. Now, DNF have that Pryo that I was talking about. This is exactly where they want to be. This is their comfort zone with this composition. And now DRX are like, well, I cleared the wave, but DNF did too, and Teddy's going to take a back opportunity, but this Dragon is once again almost practically free for the taking. We're going to look for a Baron trade.
That's what DRX are going to consider right now. But look at this.
They just put Berserker on the Dragon basically alone.
Well, in they go. They do manage to eat Dudu's ulti as the Solar Flare is going to hold the Sion in place. It takes forever to take this guy down if they even can do so, and they can't. And so they just give up the Drake. That's Soul Point over to DNF. A huge deal here for this composition. And DRX get a bit of a health bar of a Sion.
Yeah, this is a really bad situation because now they're resetting a DNF for like, wait a minute. Like, they just end up deciding to go for some vision here, at least as much as they can get on the edge of that pit as they get the free control of that Dragon bottom side. So Soul Points, there's now Berserker and Pioshik do that. The two of them, DRX don't start Baron, but look for a pick onto a Sion, which is exactly what DNF wanted. And they've just been the more decisive team in this game. They have a lot of agency, and they've been using it.
They certainly have. Level 15 here for Berserker as well. So Teddy still a couple of points away from that On the Hunt being maxed out. Not to mention, Dudu is about to crest that level 16 mark as well. The Sion going to be very, very scary. Rich is also very, very close to level 16, spending some time here in this side lane and will be able to hit it. Actually first in the game to do so. So the Ambessa slowly but surely getting more and more frightening here as he has actually created a gold lead for himself because Dudu has felt forced to group up with the rest of his team a whole lot more, is now trying to answer the Ambessa there towards the bottom side. But this is not really where DNF want their Sion, right? Does want to be that team fighting force that we know he can be. So finally, Rich is able to do what he was put on this rift to do.
He also could deny a TP out of Dudu if he keeps his eyes on him. Dudu's actually rotating up by foot. And now, this is scary because they have two ways to get over your Weaver's Wall. They have Realm Warp, they have Pantheon ult, so Starfall can also get into the back line, but DNF don't care. They're just going to look for this But a potential turn. Dudu's already here. Late TP from Rich. Life on the flank.
Well, they're once again looking for Dudu as the turn does come in. The Baron has reset. Seismic Shove brings Yehu over to the rest of their team. Or Yehu, if I want to pronounce it correctly. Berserker gets into that backline as Andal also trying to get some work done. They lose the Rise, though, and the Leona's down as well. Teddy just trying to be a hero, but he's melee range with this. Sion is Rich! Oh my god, the savior once again here for DRX as Dudu might be able to kill him, but he has so many dashes, and it is just a top lane battle in the end, and that is going to be a stalemate.
All right, 4 for 4. Only top laners walk out. A lot of tempo lost here for DNF. At the end of the day, we kind of just go back to ground zero. As you look at how this fight starts off here, it's a little bit sloppy for DRX. They deny the entry of Life into this fight, which means they can push because they know the rel isn't there. By the way, Live! Rich.
Yeah, we're looking for something more. Rich is actually going to keep himself alive, so back to the replay.
But like this fight ends up being Teddy just great target selection. Unfortunately, Bulldog misangles his Q there. Dudu just barely able to get the snipe onto Teddy, or this could have actually turned out way worse here for DNF. But the fact that they denied the engage from Life, which was Rich, by the way, it allowed them to push through, and then Rich is able to clean up, really saves the day, because otherwise, this could have been just a wipe and Baron. And the end of the game when we go to 3. DRX maintain a nearly 1,000 gold lead after the fight. And we go again, but the next big objective is more than the Baron. 90 seconds time we have what could be for DNF, the Hextech Soul. So a really, really tough objective to fight for. You can see DRX a little bit more interested in the bottom side of the map right now, and that's why DNF are going, okay, let's see if we can maybe look for a Weaver's Wall angle. Bulldog leading the charge. If anyone gets shoved here, any pick, they get both critical objectives. I mean, if you get Baron and Hextech Soul here, I mean, that's the game.
Yeah, no, that feels ridiculous. It's Rich.
He's hit a Sion.
4K, yeah, I know, but 4K ahead of anyone else in the game. It's just kind of nutty. We haven't necessarily been having the most fighting in this game outside of these top laners hitting each other.
True.
But it is quite impressive that he does put up as big a numbers as he has.
Teddy hasn't had the opportunity to put up the big numbers yet, but we are getting to the point where, and he has nearly 4 items, but 3.5 items. If he is given a proper real 5v5, if he's able to carry it, he will do the big damages. As, you know, Vision here split on Baron, but DNF know their prize is this Hextech Soul, and they'll probably even be happy to trade it at this point, but they have so much prio here. Like, there's no Vision.
Yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. As Yehu gonna get shoved back. He does have his flash available. Is just going to try not to use it, and he doesn't actually. He's the only one with teleport, so he can go for a reset, get that health bar back up again, but that trap can be laid anytime.
Yeah, he has Seraphs and his upgraded Merc Treads, which do a ton for him in that scenario. I think without those, he probably would have flashed. Teddy going to spell shield, a little bit of poke here, but once again, DNF still have that prio. That was just a seismic shove. There was nothing committed.
Yeah, DRX needs to move in here, though, because this dragon could already be started for all they know.
Berserker is starting it, as you say.
Yeah, he is going to get on over there. Solar Flare is going to connect onto the Scion once again. They really want to be able to take down Dudu as Teddy finally does damage to him, but the Drake is just going down. This is Hextech Soul, DRX. You cannot just give this up, but they will anyway. The Grand Starfall does absolutely nothing, as now in goes Andal. There is the public execution to take down the Talia, and Teddy is free hitting. Life going down so low, but Teddy doesn't get hit by any of the abilities, and Rich is a monster. The Rune Prison is fantastic onto Berserker as well, and down he will go. There is the ace for DRX.
But there's so many turrets up, it's not like they can take this into a game when they will be able to get the Baron off of this, you have to think. But at the end of the day, Hextech Soul is permanent, so DRX, they save this through Teddy. That's the kind of team fight I'm talking about, by the way, where Teddy is going to pop off, he is going to clean up along with Rich. But they get to start this off because they have so much control. DRX gave them this prio, and they just let Dudu sit here and use it. And if anyone oversteps, Bulldog gets a shove on Teddy there, for example, and that's just the end of it. Now, I think we're DNF bite off a little bit more than they could chew. They get the Hextech Soul, but then they try to opt into a fight. They use the Weaver's Wall here and go for the engage. But like you said, Teddy is unable. Yeah, no, there's multiple nuances here in this with the mid sign. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, they don't get Teddy. Teddy cleans up the fight with Rich. Berserker tries to use the Hex Gate to get out. He ends up getting taken out here as well to triple for Teddy. But again, permanent buff here for DNF. If they could survive this Baron, They're looking good for what could be some upcoming team fights, because 5,000 gold at 30+ minutes, it's big, but it's not insurmountable by any means. Like, this is still a relatively close game.
Soul is absurd.
Especially when your Kai'Sa could just press W and proc it kind of on demand.
Yep. You also have Mercurial Scimitar coming in here for Berserker, so he's only one item away from completing all of those. DRX needs to make this Baron work. Already 2,000 gold Red Bull Baron power play. 2 minutes on the clock as well.
There's so much gold to be had with all these standing structures, but it means you're not really getting you're not getting cracking on the base. You're not getting into those inhibitor turrets like you really want to just yet. Still have 2 minutes to go, but this has otherwise been relatively neutralized here so far for DNF. DRX need to actually find an angle to engage. They use these Baron buff minions to find an angle. Like, you have Pantheon, you have Ryze. There's a world where, and Ambessa, there's a world where you get a pick and then you just go in to take the inhibitors out or potentially even end the game. But if they slow push like this, DNF are happy with that because they still have that Hex Tech in the tank.
Yep. And after this 1.5 minutes is over, that's going to be where the opportunities are going to lie for DNF to fight back in this game. Still, DNF looking for that flank angle. And DRX trying to keep them out of their own jungle as best they can. I mean, if they do walk in here, I mean, walking into a Ryze, walking into a Pantheon, both of those options are terrifying. But look at this, like, the Void Seekers, as soon as they land, they are really starting to cut them down as Rich dashing in over towards Berserker as, oh my god. Yeah, this Ambessa is really a problem.
Yeah, I'm starting to also get a little bit concerned about some of these Bulldog walls. That one was a very defensive one in desperation, but that's
I didn't even see it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he just.
I can see that it's now on cooldown.
Yeah, they walked away, and then he was like, "Don't touch my turret." They were like, "We're out. Don't worry, Bulldog." If maybe it was angled a little bit more up, they could have.
Oh god, it's just an Elder Flip, isn't it?
It's starting to look that way. But the cool thing about Elder Flips in this for DNF is that they have Hextech Soul, so they can continue to poke DRX on the approach, and they have incredible turn. Getting Prio on it would have been hard if the Baron was better timed or synced up with it, but it's wearing off now. Yeah. And so now DNF can kind of wrestle back into Prio position. It's not going to be easy, as DRX still have full control over this map.
Bulldog does manage to clear this one out. Still, only one more auto from that Siege Minion would have been enough, but the Baron wears off just in the nick of time.
Teddy
for DNF.
Is full build.
He is a very big boy.
Yeah, he is the target that you're going to really struggle to kill because he has Spell Shield, GA. He's going to be level 18 for the fight.
If you're DNF, though, who are you more scared of? Rich or Teddy?
The answer is both.
Right.
But like
all of the above.
Actually Teddy, ultimately. Because you can kill Rich. I don't know if you can kill Teddy, and if you kill everyone else while using all of your resources, then...
I hate to be that guy, Wolf, but they've killed Teddy. They are yet to kill Rich.
That's true, but I don't know if they'll kill him again. If you remember, that was a while ago when they killed him last time.
That's true. I just like technicalities.
Yeah, there was that fight where Rich was like, "You killed Teddy, but you didn't kill me," and I got the kills back, and then it ended up being a 4-for-4. I look at this situation too, where like you have a Ryze, you have a Sivir. DRX are not going to give that Prio up, and there's just not much DNF can do to stop them having Prio, but they can look for an engage. It's really important that Life has Flash for this fight. If he loses Flash, for example, right now, that really hurts their ability to contest for the Elder. So he needs to be really careful. He's obviously trying to clear vision and get any idea about where DRX are set up, but he does not want to use that critical Flash because that is so much of their engage. Pioshik also, similar situation here.
Look at all of this vision. Elixir of Wrath here for Rich as well. They really want to stamp this game out right here, right now. As Teddy, unfortunately, the Hextech Soul is going to still chain even if he does manage to use the Spell Shield. As Rich dashing around and isn't too worried about anything at all.
Teddy is like, I'm ready to win this, get my POM. And DNF are like, we got to somehow kill this guy. How can we do it? We have no Prio. Elder spawns.
This is going to have to be a heroic fight here as Solar Flare not doing too much really as Andal goes in. Pioshik finds the backline. Teddy? Oh god, the orders from Teddy are massive. He flashes to get out of the way in the public execution. Connects onto Berserker. Rich, where have you been all year, you absolute god? As Dudu goes down and DRX I think this should be Elder, or maybe just the end of the game as Sponge just running towards Berserker as best he can. Needs a little bit of a better arm for that one, as the seismic shove is likely to do a fair bit of work here, but Sponge is still going to be okay, and DRX are looking to close this one out.
Sponge super low, Teddy was low, but he just did not care. Like I said, they want to kill him, they gotta kill him, but they just can't, Atlas, and he does so much damage. It's like diving a fountain, and they do not have a wave.
Yeah, okay, so it's not the end of the game just yet, but they do have a lot of members dead on DNF side. However,
I mean,
it's only Dudu that's going to be down for the next little while.
Yeah.
Is it still flip potential?
I mean,
has DRX messed this up?
They're all so low here. Life's coming over, doesn't have flash anymore. It's gonna have to be a really clean fight here.
I mean, they have so much damage, as this will just be secured by Sponge. And now Elder, even though these health bars are low, there's no teleport on Dudu. And so DNF, I don't think you can risk this one.
Ult. Maybe they could catch some of these members and split them and remove some of these buffs. Oh, the turret's still alive. You're gonna shelter them, and they are gonna get out. But it's gonna be a lot of lost time on this Elder buff. It's gonna, take it down about 30 seconds here.
This is a wild game.
Look at how many resources are used to try to kill Teddy. But look at how far away Bulldog is, for example. Pioshik is committing his Cyclone here. Berserker wants to kill him, but they know he has GA. They can't go in further, and the Rich is like, see you later, buddy. I've got dashes for days. I've got flashes for, well, just once. But he gets on top of him.
Did you see the protect the president as well from DRX? They're like, share pixels with Teddy. That's all we have to do.
And they're going to use this Elder to just turn it into a brief Exodia here.
It can't be Exodia because they do not have the soul.
That's true. You're right.
But as close to as they can get.
I mean, I've always kind of, in my mind, put the Baron and the Elder as Exodia because he usually comes with soul,
true.
But not in this case. And the soul is actually still helpful to kind of delay this game here for DNF and give them potentially one more chance. It really, really is unfortunate that they weren't able to get the GA out of Teddy, but they got his flash, right? So he's flashless. Yehu is flashless. Life will have his flash eventually, I think in like 2 minutes, if they could survive through these buffs. Maybe there's a team fight for them. But what should happen is DRX, just with their wave clear, grind DNF down to dust.
Rich doesn't have GA yet. That is a bit of good news here for DNF.
And they're just trying to slow this advance with Hex Tech.
I mean, their composition really does not siege very well here on the side of DRX. Trying to get Rich up to touch this turret is difficult as Solar Flare connects onto Dudu once again. The Grand Starfall to bring in Sponge, but he's straight into the bouncy castle. It's Pioshik will get eaten by a dragon, and unfortunately, even when you kind of try to just throw your life away, you've got a Guardian Angel, you've got an Elder Drake, and they've still got 20 seconds of that one as, oh my, even the ricochets are just doing so much work here.
The wave is getting thin, but there's just enough here, I think, for DRX to end the Weaver's Wall attempt here, but there's too many minions.
Oh, Public Execution is supercharged out of the way of there as DRX still continue. And I think despite everything, DNF are not going to be able to make it work. Despite Hextech's soul, it's not going to be enough to save it as DRX keep themselves alive here in the Rise group.
Rich and Teddy with a monster performance.
That man on your screen right there, what a hero, dude.